In this lesson, we're going to talk about Enterprise Single Sign-On, and I'm going to use a test iPad for this purposes. I've gone ahead and onboarded an iPad here, so you can see in iOS, iPadOS tab, I've got a managed iPad, and if I look over here at the status, I've got the little eyeball here, which means that it is supervised, which is one of the requirements for using Enterprise Single Sign-On. And then we're going to do a couple of things. There's actually two parts to this because I'm going to be using Microsoft. So I'm using Microsoft Entra ID for my single sign-on here. And the first thing we need to do is install some apps, and the second thing we need to do is configure the single sign-on extension profile payload. So let's start with the application. So very simply here, I'm just going to go back into Install App here, and I'm going to go ahead and add a new profile. Now, at minimum, the application that you have to install for Enterprise Single Sign-On to work with Microsoft is the Microsoft Authenticator app. But we're going to add a few more applications as well, just to help demonstrate how single sign-on works across various different apps and via Safari as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this one Microsoft Apps. And my installation source is going to be VPP again, Apps and Books. And we'll go to Add Application here. And I'm just going to pick a few. So the first thing I mentioned was we need Microsoft Authenticator, so I'm going to go ahead and select that one. And we also will need a few of the other Microsoft apps. So let's do Teams. That's pretty common. We'll do Word, and let's do Edge. So we'll throw a browser on there as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to do this on a device-based assignment here. And I'm going to go ahead and install the apps immediately. I'll go ahead and show them in self-service as well, although I won't use that. I'll actually just have them self-install. And we'll go ahead and hit Add Assignment here. And I'm going to do a specific device in this case for this demonstration. I'm going to select iPad here, and that's the one iPad I just onboarded here a few minutes ago. And we'll go ahead and hit Save. Now that's just going to go out there and start installing these apps on my iPad. And while it's doing that, let's go ahead and take a look at the single sign-on extension itself. So if you don't have it already listed here, you can activate a new profile type and select single sign-on extensions. There's two of them. There's single sign-on and there's single sign-on extensions. We want the one for extensions in this case. I've already got it here on the sidebar, so I'm just going to select it. And then we need to add a new profile. The profile name, I'm going to call this Microsoft SSO for single sign-on. And the single sign-on type here is going to be Microsoft Enterprise SSO plugin redirect. And we get a message here that's saying Microsoft Authenticator must be installed, and that's fine because that's what we're doing already. And then we need to just go ahead and add a profile assignment here. And in this case, I'm going to choose specific devices. And once again, we'll select that iPad that we're installing those Microsoft apps on. And let's go ahead and hit Save. We'll give that a few minutes to update and install all those apps, and then also add the Microsoft SSO plugin. We can always click on View Details here to see how quickly this is being deployed. Looks like it deployed pretty fast because it's already there. So that's great. So let's switch over to that iPad and take a look and see how Enterprise Single Sign-On works with Microsoft on our iPad with the Single Sign-On extension installed. To test this out, we're over here on my test iPad. And I have these 4 Microsoft applications installed. Now I can launch any of these to initiate the Enterprise SSO workflow, but as a best practice, we'll set up our Microsoft 365 identity through Authenticator first. So let's go ahead and tap on Authenticator. And when we get to the spot where we can add an account, we're going to be adding a work or school account because mine's actually a business account here. I go ahead and put my email address in here. Go ahead and authenticate through multi-factor. Go ahead and hit continue here. We'll turn on autofill. See, it's also generating a passkey for my device. I'm not going to register this device for right now because it's just a test device. So we'll go ahead and skip that, and we'll allow Authenticator to give us notifications. All right, we're all set to go here. Right, now that I've signed into Authenticator, I can now launch any of my other Microsoft applications, and it should invoke the Enterprise Single Sign-On extension. Let's go ahead and try that with Word. Tap on existing Microsoft 365 users to sign in. It's going to ask me for my email address here first. We'll hit next. And it already signed me in. Never even asked me to log in again. Once it identified my email address, it connected to the fact that I was already signed in using Enterprise SSO. And if you're at all familiar with Microsoft 365, I'm using mobile application management here to manage some settings within my Microsoft applications, which it's gone ahead and applied as well. So let's go ahead and hit OK here so that it can close the app. Let's go ahead and reopen Word here. And I'm signed in. So I'm good to go there. Now the same process would work with any of the other Microsoft applications here. In addition to those, the Enterprise SSO extension also works with Safari. So let's give that a try. Let's open up Safari here. And let's just go to office.com. And you can see here it's automatically signed me in to my Microsoft 365 cloud. And you can see down here in the bottom left hand corner I've got my little avatar and my username, and of course I can access all my apps and all my documents here as well. So that's pretty much all there is to deploying Enterprise SSO. You just need to configure the profile and assign it to your iOS devices. In the next lesson we're going to talk about doing something very similar on the Mac using the new Platform SSO extension.